We are on Bhruguvalli, section 1, verse 1. And we were I was in the middle of explaining it. So what page number for everyone? I saw
261.
261. I saw Meenaji come, but now I don't see her, right? Yeah. I was going to see if she wanted to read, but okay, 261. So we were in the middle of explaining, I was explaining this, and basically what it is that in this particular verse, the Bhrugu is name of one person, who had studied the Shastras and all that, and now he wants to experience Brahman. So he approaches his father, Varun, who is self-realized, Shtotri and Brahmanishta. And we were talking about how he was approaching, and we were talking about Jigyasa. And then Meenaji is not here, but anyway, I guess she will hear the recording. So because there is a slight difference between, remember she had asked the question, what is Jigyasa versus Mumukshutvam? So there is a slight difference. Jigyasa means curiosity about something. So when the curiosity arises in us, we try to pursue that, right? And that jigyasa can be worldly thing also or spiritual thing also. And when it is spiritual, so usually the term they use is Brahma jigyasa. Or, who am I? Like, hey, who is God? What is my relationship? Those are called Brahma jigyasa. So then that it could be a spiritual. So it's a first step of trying to learn something, And obviously when we said that, hey, this Varun the Bhrugu had a jigyasa, we're talking about Brahma jigyasa over here. And then what mumukshutvam is coming from moksha, desire for moksha. So that comes much later when you, with discrimination, you have a vairagya developed in you, and you realize about difference between real and unreal, and now you want to experience, and you pursue that diligently, that's called mumukshutvam, So very technically you can say that jigyasa is the first step and mumukshutvam is the second step. So it's a little bit higher. So just wanted to tell about that. So obviously over here, this fellow has got mumukshutvam, I think, because he wants to experience. So we would bump it up from jigyasa to mumukshutvam for him. Okay. So, and then we were talking about that how he approached with lot of humility and all that, because the way he's speaking and the way he's coming, it's, even though it is his father and he's calling him Bhagava, he's saying Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. That those are the. So Adhihi is the part which explains his jigyasa and mumukshutvam. Bhagava explains that he is looking in with lot of reverence to his father, and he was just, Nikhilanandji was saying that this relationship of guru and shishya, you can have a personal relationship with that person too. Like I remember Murari Bapu said that his guru was his grandfather. He learned everything from his grandfather, And sometimes, Shiv and Parvati have a conversation where Parvati is a student and she is asking questions. And so that's husband-wife relationship, So it can be father, son, husband, wife, brother, sister, whatever, it doesn't matter that. But, he was just saying that obviously guru, you have to approach it with humility and lot of samman, because you think that person knows so much. So he's saying that if you don't see God in the person who's telling you about God, there'll be problem. So he's literally seeing God in his father, because he feels like his father is one with God. That's why he calls him Bhagwan. So that was another word. And then he just used Brahmeti word, which is like a simple word but loaded with everything. Why? Because this particular person, Bhrugu, has already intellectually studied everything. he studies the Shastras because now remember, Upanishad was over, but they added this particular section because he doesn't have the experience yet. And he has mumukshutvam. He wants that final experience. So that's why he approaches his father. So then this word brahmeti, brahma iti, teach me that. So what Nikhilanandji did, he went back and he said, what was the definition? I don't know if any one of you remember. What was the definition given in Taittiriya Upanishad about Brahman? Anybody remembers? Those are 3 famous words. So it is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. So, it's a good to revise, So Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. That's what was told already. So then what is, and from that, all the Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, Prithvi come, we saw, Vistar, from Bhagavad Gita. So, but that main thing was Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. So just to understand what Satyam is just, this is a revision so that we don't forget. Satyam is, existence, existent parts in the world. Because everything that we see, in English language, we say this glass is, this table is, existence, right? Where is that existence coming from? It's coming from that consciousness, pure existence. So that's one way of understanding it. Entire world, whether it is alive or not, has existence in it. Huh? So that's how we understand Satyam. Jnanam is, there are several things in Jnanam. One is not pure knowledge, they call it. So pure knowledge is the one because of which we get other knowledge. That awareness in us, that consciousness within us makes us understand everything about the world. So you can, and about Brahman also. So that is Jnanam, that part of Satyam, Jnanam. And Anantam, we know, infinite, not limited. And if you want to go technical, what is Anantam? It is not limited by time, space, and object. That's how they define it in it is beyond time, space, and object. Because this world, Swamiji call it the Einstein world of time and space that we live in. So this is beyond that, This is what Chinmayanand used to say, Einstein world of time and space. So, and then Brahman was also indicated that it has a covering of 5 koshas. Everybody remembers those koshas now? So then, just remember that Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanmaya, and Anandmaya. These are the koshas, and then it taught us how to kind of understand these koshas and try to go beyond it, So all this, the Bhrigu has heard, and now he wants to experience it. So he's requesting his father. That's why he's saying, Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. Okay. And so once he said that, what did Bhrigu tell him? Sorry, what did Varuna tell him? Bhrigu asked the question, and what did the father reply? So he replied, Annam Pranam Chakshu Shrotram Mano Vacham Iti. Manaha Vacham Iti. So he talked about Annam, and Annam means food, but we will see the meaning. It means the entire world of the food, including our bodies, because our body is made of food. So he's talking about that. And then prana, we know, is a vital energy behind it, right? That's prana. And then Shotram is ears. Chakshu is first. Chakshu is eyes. Shotram is ears. Mana is mind. And Vacham is speech. Yeah. So again, it's very brief, but there is a lot of meaning behind it. He just said these things, but the next verse connects with it too. That we'll see how it connects. Because in here he just says, this is what Brahman is. There is a reason why he said that. Okay. So why he said these things are Brahman? Firstly, we already understood from Bhagavad Gita. All this is coming from Brahman. So that's why it has to be. It's like somebody saying, what is a wave? And some briefly, koi bolega, wave is ocean only. Right? What does it mean? It's made from the same material. So that is one way of thinking like that. But opening up this whole thing. Why did he say that? So Shankaracharya ji is obviously Advait Vedantin, and he explains more. So he says that these things that he mentioned, they are like the doorway to Brahman. They are like dwar. He called them dwar for Brahman, And there is another word in Hindi, uplabdh dwar, means through this I can reach the Brahman. Because obviously we have to work with what we got, right? This is our equipment, okay, I have one car, suppose in the garage, and I have to go somewhere, reach 30 miles away. If that's the only car I have to use that. I cannot sit there and dream and pray, God, send me something else. I have to use what I got. So the same way, all these things that he's talking about, Annam, Pranam, Chakshu, Shrotram, we all have it. And we have to use this to doorway, Because actually Brahman itself is beyond all these things. Senses and all that. And whatever we truly are is beyond this. But we have to understand, grasp what we have and use it to reach there. That's the whole idea behind this, why he said this, okay? And then he was just saying that we have to grasp it with our intellect, but in the end, what this fellow wants him to do is, he wants him to meditate upon this. ऐसे ही नहीं बोलते, okay, you are Brahman. Okay, so then I can just say, oh, aham brahmasmi. Is that going to do anything for me? Nothing. I will still act like a fool when I go in the world because I have not experienced it. I will not act like aham brahmasmi. So that's the whole idea, that he's telling that use these instruments to experience that. Firstly, understand that these equipments are coming from him. And they are him only in one aspect. See, it's very kind of interesting. Somebody was explaining this. So you say in the beginning, you say, God is separate, I am separate. And I'm trying to understand God. And then you say, okay, there is this world which is unreal and God is real. That's what we say. In the end, you have to understand everything is God. But if you in the beginning only say that, it won't work. बोलते ना कि इधर से खाना खाओ या उधर से घूम के आओ, बात तो यही है, मगर वो सीधा खाना यहाँ पर पचता नहीं है हम लोगों को, तो घुमा के बोला है उसको. So that's the whole idea, that this person, he has understood everything, but he's getting a little frustrated because he doesn't have the experience. So now the Varun is trying to give him that, encouraging him to go do this tapas. That's why he told him that, Let's see if there are what other things are there. So he was just saying, that's what I already mentioned, that he was just saying that to recognize the Brahman, we have to take the help of the world only. And he gave an example of mud pots. मट क्या होता है ना, मिट्टी और मटका. समझो किसी को मिट्टी के बारे में कुछ नहीं मालूम है, तो किसी ने बोला कि वो मिट्टी से घड़ा बनता है. आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट यू आर सेइंग. सो एक घड़ा लाके सामने रख दिया, लुक, देखो इसको क्या चीज से बना है, एंड देन यू कैन एक्सप्लेन द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ऑफ मिट्टी, दैट अगर वो टूट भी जाएगा तो वापस मिट्टी बन जाएगा, फिर उसको गीला वीला करके वापस एक और घड़ा बना सकते हैं, ये है वो है. सो because he doesn't know what the mitti is, you have to go through the ghada to explain to him. That's what the whole idea is over here. So I thought that was a good example that Nikhilanandji gave, that through our body, mind, intellect and all, I take the Sahara of it and I go towards the Brahman. That's how it is. So from the known to the unknown, that is the whole trick, he was just saying, So, because we are also understood that Brahman is the very cause of this whole universe and source, and it's my supreme nature, myself. So here, the technical words are upadhi. Take the help of upadhi. These things are names and forms. Whatever we talked about, annam, pranam, chakshu, shotram, names and forms. And so, now he little bit opened it up, that first he started, there is a sequence in this, the way the Varun told him, Annam, Pranam, Chakshu, Shotram, and there's a little bit more into it. So Annam is first thing, our body and all that, but body is supported by pranas. Without pranas, body is nothing. The vital energy. So he's saying that you start with the body, but then you realize that pranas are also very important, and they are also part of Brahman only. And then another thing he was saying about the body, that we already know it, we already did it, but just a revision so that we don't forget. He's saying that we are born from food, we survive in food, and when we die, we go back to the same. We become fertilizer for other. We don't like to think like that, but whether you burn the body or it goes back to the earth only, 5 elements back. So this, and then another important thing that he wanted to, there is a subtle meaning behind it, that our body, which is made of food, is our dharma sadhan. With this only we can get realization, and this is like a vehicle, to get that. So, and then that's why he was saying in the Shanti part also, we always say there are different Shanti part. There are about 10-15 of them in different Upanishads. And in one of them, we are praying to God that please make my limbs and, healthy, and nourish it with food and all that. And it's maybe same kind of bhav is there in this Shanti part that we do, that these are the things that are needed for me to get self-realization. So it's an important part. And that's why I say body ko bhi healthy rakho. ये नहीं कि खाली party करने के लिए, but even that's fine. कोई भी काम करने के लिए healthy चाहिए, but even for spiritual things, like Swamiji used to say, if you can't even sit straight, how are you going to meditate? Right? So your body has to be in tune. So that's why that it has to be. And then pranas, we saw that pranas are the one that control. And then pranas, if you want to expand it, you already know pran, apan, vyan, udan, saman, all that, just revising it, that what we learned. All that is Shakti of Bhagwan only, coming to us. And then it said eyes. 2 things that, that actually when they say eyes and ears, they mean all 5 senses actually. They don't want to expand it. But if you think about it, eyes and ears are very, very important senses, especially like the, what you call ears, because through ears we hear this knowledge. So that's why Chakshu is so important, Shravanam ke liye, okay? Nobody can show who God is. You can hear about it, So that's why. And then it said manaha, because without mind, you can't do anything. All that information comes to the mind. So when you say manaha, usme man, buddhi, chit, ahankar, wo charo sanat kumar aa gaye usme, huh? And we learn now through that. So these are our inner equipments, that we need to. And, man mein aur bhi cheezein hai, sankalp, vikalp and all that, and the buddhi. Buddhi mein nishchayatmik buddhi, pure buddhi and all that. And chitta is the part of memory. All that is needed to move forward in the spiritual life, So these are the thing. And then last unhone bola vacham means speech. Because speech represents, first of all organs of action, hands, legs, and all of there are 5 of them. And why speech is so important? Because speech and listening are these 2 things that we transact our life. If even किसी को गुरु को भी ज्ञान देना होता है, वो अपनी speech से देता है. Think about it. And the student listens. So see, these 2 things are how important. So out of the organs of action and the sense organs, they chose the most important ones, which represent all of them. So that's how why he said it. So now why he just stopped at this? Because this is very interesting. The teacher didn't want to say directly what Brahman is, even though he said, पहले तो उसको intellectually usko already malum hai. But why he said these things? Because he want him to contemplate on his own. Go and do the meditation and contemplation on it. Because the way Nikhilanand ji ne bola कि ऐसा नहीं करा कि who are you? You are Brahman, हो गया, जाओ घर जाओ अभी. उसको नहीं मिलेगा. So he wanted to encourage him, to contemplate. Slow and steady systematic process. तभी उसको experience होगा, and that applies to all of us. So that's what he's telling in this verse. And we will kind of stop here. But the next verse is connected with it, because he's going to say to him that, hey, Brahman is the one from which everything comes out, sustains, and goes back into it. You know? So, any question or comment? And anybody wants to add anything? Is there anyone besides Anil ji who would like to read this? Kshatriya? Okay, Urmil ji, because you have the right book, you can read it.
Well, I just had one question. Now, Bhrigu, there's a story about Bhrigu, right? I mean, I can't remember.
Okay, so this is what it is. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't remember.
Okay. So Bhrigu is one of the important rishis. Among the Sapt rishis, maybe Bhrigu ka naam aata hai. And somebody made a comment that they just use the two names Bhrigu and Varun. And वैसे तो वरुण बोला तो पानी के देवता को भी वरुण बोलते हैं. तो किसी ने बोला कि nobody knows ये कौन सा वाला भृगु था. Okay. So it could be the same, it could be different, but वो वाले भृगु जो हम लोग पुरानिक स्टोरी में आते हैं ना, उसका फादर वरुण नहीं था. That Bhrigu, I think it was Aditi was I'm not 100% sure, but I have to do some investigation. But here, in the Upanishads and all that, sometimes there is a fixed name and all that. Other times, it's just conversation between two people. And we don't know exactly who it was, but the content is more important. Yeah.
But I know there is a Bhrigu Samhita.
Yes, there is a Bhrigu Samhita.
It has life history of everybody. It's like the same way Agastya Muni has.
Yes. So now whether it was the same Bhrigu they're talking about, they have not confirmed it. So ho bhi sakta hai, nahi bhi ho sakta hai. We don't know. Like for some things they are very sure about. Like, Ramayana and Mahabharata are considered history. So yes, Krishna Bhagwan ka janam hua tha, ye hua tha, date, weight, sab unko nakshatra sab malum hai. But in Upanishad, sometimes the conversation, kab hua, kya hua, ye conversation hua, we don't know that kind of, we cannot say with that kind of certainty. But वो जो भृगु संहिता आप बोल रहे हो ना, वो वाले भृगु का पुराण में उसका father वगैरह का नाम वगैरह सब है. Who he was and the lineage and all, and it's not Varun, it's somebody else. Yeah.
So Sadhguru had this talk, which I heard, that when Adi Purush came and he started meditating, then a lot of people came in front of him. But he stayed so long, they all left, only 7 guys were left.
Okay. So
those are the Saptarishis.
Yeah. So Saptarishi का में इतनी सारी कहानियां हैं, पर उसका जो बेसिस है ना, तभी हम लोग के इंडिया में बोलते हैं हम सब ऋषि संतान है, ऐसे ही बोलते हैं ना, we are ऋषि संतान. And तभी हमारे जो गोत्र भी होते हैं, they are related to rishis, नाम का होता है, गर्गाचार्य and all that. So why? Because of the sequence that is told to us in Bhagavad Gita, that hey, consciousness is there, and then there is a Prakriti and Purush and all that, and more of it is going to come in other further chapters, and then 7 rishis, and then unse vistar hua vagara vagara, So idea is the same. It's more important to understand the fundamental idea behind it. फिर कहानी तो हम कितनी भी बना ले उसकी, to explain, to do this and all. It's like children. When we want to tell, like our, Gaurang Bhai used to say that if a 2-year-old or 1.5-year-old asks you how the rain comes, you're not going to sit there and tell them, oh, this water osmosis happened, and he won't understand anything. So you tell him, there is an elephant which takes the water from the ocean and then it sprays and the rain comes, and he's so happy. Then as he grows further, then he understands it. So like that, Puranic stories are like that. Their concept, they're telling the same. That, water is coming from the ocean, but they're telling in a story form. So we digest it better, and we don't, and then later on we understand as we mature. So the same way about all these rishis.
Bhrigu, the well-known son of Varuna, approached his father, Varuna, and requested, "O revered sir, teach me Brahman." Varuna said thus to him, Bhrigu, "Food, prana, the eyes, the ears, the mind, and the speech are Brahman. The scene opens here. Its narration is done in dots and dashes and has the beauty of shorthand writing. One who knows its language can read it in full. Similarly, those who have got a sympathetic intellect, an intellect that revels and works in love heart, can very easily peep through the trellis of these few strokes and discover very clearly behind it all a young boy of enthusiasm with all humbleness and meek surrender, approaching his own father, and after due prostration, in a choked voice of reverence and adoration, murmurs his great desire, "Show me, O Lord, the nature of reality."
So what Swamiji did, he took these, Bhrigu, the well-known son of Varuna, approached his father, उसको उन्होंने expand किया अपने language में. इतना सब packed है कि इतना reverence था, and he prostrated, and then उसने meek voice में बोला, and we saw that, that all that is packed in this already, and these.
The smile of satisfaction on the face of the Guru when he meets a sincere student adds color to the entire picture. The father forgets for the moment that Bhrigu is his own son, and yet with more than fatherly love, he embraces the disciple in his silent gaze of evaluation and brings him to the bottom of the heart. Varuna answers that the entire world of subjects is nothing other than the subject expressing itself.
So the entire world of object is nothing other than, right? In your book, is it object or subject?
Object.
Object, huh?
Is nothing other than the subject of expression.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, Swamiji expanded. And he's saying that कोई इतना अच्छा स्टूडेंट आ जाए किसी गुरु के पास, वो इतना खुश हो जाता है. और इसमें तो उसका खुद का बेटा, imagine, like in today's world, if the son will approach a father, "Hey, teach me something," father will drop everything to teach him. कोई आता ही नहीं आजकल. They think when they become a teenager, saying, "Dad and mom, you don't know anything." That we hear that more often over here. They think they know it all. Anyway, that's whatever. So here एक तो स्टूडेंट ऊपर से उसका खुद का बेटा था, वो तो बस निहाल हो गया जैसे, कि that's what the Swamiji's expression is, that he just loved it so much. And then he told him, जो उन्होंने बोला ना कि अन्नम प्राणम चक्षु, basically he just said that this world of objects, all these things are objects, nothing other than subject expressing itself. That's how another language, that expansion, yeah.
मुझे एक और चीज इसमें मैंने नोटिस की कि although the relationship is father and son, but when he is approaching him to learn Brahm Vidya, he is approaching him as a guru.
Yes, is approaching him. That's a lot of reverence, and that because उन्होंने जो प्रश्न पूछा ना, अधि भगवो ब्रह्मेति, उसको भगवान बोला अपने फादर को, so absolutely he's approaching him like that, yeah. And sometimes I remember that some of in India में जब गुरु को भगवान बोलते थे, there is a support, and then somebody said, "How can they do that? How can they call their guru Bhagwan?" And they had such a big objection from other people. So I think it was मुरारी बापू का हम लोग लेक्चर में थे, तुमको क्या तकलीफ है अगर वो अपने गुरु को भगवान मान रहे, तुमको नहीं माना मत मानो, पर किसी की श्रद्धा है मन में, because they were trying to get very technical, how can the guru be भगवान, लड़ रहे थे वो लोग, no, it's a bhav, because it's like he feels that the guru is one with the Brahman, because this particular guru is so advanced that that's why you're seeing God in him. So there's nothing wrong with it if they say like that, Like they used to say Bhagwan Ramana Rishi, they call him, his bhakta, because of this, yeah.
in order to emphasize the idea that everything in the world of objects had risen from the transcendental divine, the teacher enumerates that Brahman is food, prana, eyes, ears, mind, and speech. In saying so, the master means that Brahman indicates the truth, which is the common substratum of all the manifestations in the universe. The wave, the ripple, the foam, the ladder, all of them are the ocean. The bangles, the chain, the ear stud, the nose ring, all of them are nothing but gold. Similarly here, the master is trying to indicate the truth through its manifestations. In order that the student may not have even a trace of doubt about what the teacher meant, he is very careful that his enumeration is exhaustive and scientifically quite appropriate.
So we kind of went through this. So firstly, his message was that all these worlds of objects have risen from that transcendental divine. So there are two words that even Vivekananda used it when he came here. He's saying that transcendental and eminent God. Eminent means he's in everything. And transcendental, he's still beyond. Like the sunshine we talk about. Sunshine is beyond this earth in a sense. It doesn't get affected by it, anything over here. But sunshine is very important for us to function. Same way, this transcendental and eminent both. And then he says that when he chose these words, उन्होंने ऐसे ही नहीं कुछ बोल दिया. Food, prana, eyes, ear, mind and speech. ऐसा precisely बोला, उसके पीछे बहुत science है, स्वामी जी saying. So ये उपनिषद के words बहुत brief होते हैं, but they are very scientific, very packed, and there's a lot more meaning behind it. That's how we have to approach. And then he gave the two most beautiful example, right? When we go to the ocean, the wave, the ripple, the foam, the white foam comes out of there, lather, everything is ocean only. Together we call it ocean. Same way, all the ornaments of the world is nothing but gold. Same way, everything that you see, nothing but consciousness.
Annam and prana, the word food indicates the entire world of matter, which can be assimilated and used for the preservation of the living creatures. And prana means all the vitality that is exhibited by all the living creatures in the entire universe.
See why he said annam and prana? Because that represent the entire living world. Because we live on the food, whether it is a plant, animal, or humans. And we have pranas, all three of us, right? Like Swamiji used to say, what is a common between, the plant, animal, and humans? Either we are alive or we are dead. Those three words we use the same. Plant is dead, plant is alive. Animal is dead or human, right? And if pranas are functioning in them, they are called alive. See how scientific it is, why he used, annam and prana?
Eyes and ears. These two indicate all the sense organs of perception, and so, if the first two terms indicated the entire world of objects, these express the world of the subject, starting with the body.
So now it is together. You can just read then. Go ahead.
Mind and speech. Mind is the receiving station which absorbs the perceptions received through the 5 gateways of knowledge. And again, it is the mind that conveys the instructions and decisions of the intellect to the muscles concerned. And it is these transactions that really denote life. So by the word mind, all our activities are indicated. Speech is representative of all our organs of action. Speech is especially mentioned because it is through speech that we hear and come to understand the great cultural truths of our country as explained in the Upanishads. And again, it is through speech that we convey the same truth to others. Study of the truth and its dissemination are the duties of every Hindu. This has been emphasized from the beginning, and as such, speech here stands not only for the organs of action in the physical sense of the terms, but it also represents all our cultural, religious, and spiritual efforts.
So a lot is there. We would have never thought about this, right? To this extent, the analysis of it. So eyes and ears. So now what the whole idea of Varuna to tell his son is that subjectively you have to experience. So now he's taking back to his own body and mind and all that. So eyes and ears, they indicate our sense organs and perception. Because Nikhilanandji explained that Shankaracharya ji said that these are the doorways to reach Brahman. So that's why he's bringing them now to each individual within themselves. So we had organ of perception. And then, so this is when he said that Annam and Pranam are the world of objects. And now ears and eyes are pointing to the subject within us. So that's one point. And then he goes to mind and speech. And then how much Swamiji explained about mind and speech, because the mind is very important, because all the instructions come from the sense organs to the mind, and the decision is made and all that. And then he's talking about the speech. Speech also represents organ of action, not just that, because through hearing and talking, and speech means language, we bol sakte hai usko, that we understand everything around us, including because in this book, if you remember earlier part, I'm taking you back very, very early in Taittiriya Upanishad. He said that once you learn this, go and tell everybody. They said कि Hindus बोले कि कुछ नहीं करते हैं, खाली अपने घर में बैठ जाते हैं. No. If you learn something, tell other people also. Spread the knowledge. They were emphasized so much. All that is done through the speech. The whole cultural thing. Basically is saying, तुम्हारी जो दुनिया है ना, उसका connection Brahman से ही है, वो सब Brahman ही है, because these are important things in everybody's life. That's why they are saying that they are explaining that all these things are Brahman, because they are important to us, so we'll pay attention to it. So that's why he's saying that.
All these together constitute the reality. The differentiations are all a deluded plurality that has been superimposed upon the reality. The head, the neck, the trunk, the long legs, the thin hands, the tapering fingers, the protruding eyes, the grinning face, and so on of the ghost are nothing but the innocent post. Similarly, the entire world of phenomena that now grins at us as a belligerent army of objects is nothing but a superimposition upon the truth.
So now he's taking us one step further, that Brahman is the substratum and everything else is just superimposition upon it. It just like the snake and the rope. That's why he's opening up that actually, it is the rope only that is there everywhere, but we start seeing the snake. And then he was just saying that when we see the snake, we see the head, the neck, the trunk, or either ghost and post ka bola hai unhone. It's the same thing. When we see a lamp post and it looks like a ghost. So uska description diya hai. But it's nothing but the post. So this is how that Varun was trying to explain to Bhrigu, that whatever you see, it is, that Brahman only, you are just seeing these things, superimposition upon the truth. This is another way of explaining.
Having thus given this rough definition and ready estimate of truth, the teacher observes on the face of the student a complete dissatisfaction. Bhrigu was a seeker of erudition and scholarship. He was a true Hindu who wanted to bring about the divine transformation within himself. Practical-minded as he was, the above explanation of a general scientific definition did not satisfy him, and noting this look of dissatisfaction in the boy, the teacher continues.
So स्वामी जी ने बोला कि जब वरुण ने उसको बोला ना तो वो he was like नहीं मेरे को और बताओ, this is not enough for me. Swami ji is expanding it. Then when he saw on his face that okay, so then the next verse comes where he's going to tell him that what I was saying, that from Brahman is from that everything comes and then sustains and goes back and then you go and think about that kind of. जैसे कि teacher ने instead of giving him okay, this is Brahman, he's telling him literally the method. अच्छा जाके विचार करो अभी इसके ऊपर, थोड़ा प्रश्न लेके आओ, or whatever, think about it. So that's where this particular verse ends, that hey, he needed to hear more. And in this verse he's just saying that Bhrigu he had already studied this erudition and scholarship. I had to go look up the word what erudition means. It means knowledge acquired by study and research. That's what मतलब भृगु कोई साधारण वो नहीं है, स्टूडेंट नहीं है, ऑलरेडी सब करके आया है, वो पूरा पढ़ के आया है और उसको ऑलरेडी सब कुछ मालूम है, but he wants to know more, so that's what the whole thing is.
Umaj, it just amazes me that the whole concept, it's so simple, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about it, it's just so simple that it's all Brahman. Mm-hmm. But we forget, right?
We forget
that.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, then in 5 minutes we are on our way and doing different things and forget what we
learned. And the reason we forget, because like our teacher used to say, अभी ना अंदर से कन्विंस नहीं हुआ है, हम लोग को लगता है कि हो गए पर एक्चुअली में नहीं हुए हैं. Because their example they give in Vedanta is, suppose if I know that potassium cyanide kills, right? And somebody puts a glass in front of me and he says, there may be potassium cyanide in this. Huh? कितने इतना भी बोल दिया ना, I will not touch that glass. Because I am so convinced that this is poison and even the possibility is going to ruin me. Right? 1% also I don't want it because I don't want to die. So that's called convincing completely. You see, we don't have that kind of conviction right now about oneness of Brahman, because it has not come from inside, it has not become my experience yet. That's exactly what this Bhrigu has. Intellectually we can give lecture, everything we can do. Koi bolega God kya hai, we can tell him now. So many things we learned in Gita, but the reason we forget, I'm not internally convinced yet because I don't have the experience. So you're absolutely right. We all are in the same boat. And through Bhrigu, he's telling us the method. That's why, like abhi Bhagavad Gita mein bhi verse aayega. There are 2 verses ke baad aayega, ek verse ke baad, when Krishna Bhagwan talks about satsang. That, once you have that jigyasa, you talk about it, you contemplate it, you can't stop talking about it. And then slowly it sinks in. And he says that if I see that person doing that, मैं उसको बुद्धि योग देता हूँ. Means capacity to understand. वो भी तो जरूरी है. वो तो भगवान से ही मिलेगी capacity. So, but we have to show our sincerity, and then God gives us all these abilities. To understand it. So true what you said.
So there's one more story I had similar to this. It's in Chandogya Upanishad.
Chandogya,
There's a
Gadgi or something?
Indra and Virochan.
Okay.
They are disciples. They go to Prajapati and want to know Brahma. And Prajapati says, Brahma is, go look yourself in the mirror and your face and your body and all that. So Virochan goes and he says, yeah, I found it. But Indra says, I'm not satisfied. So he keeps going on and ultimately he gives the Brahm Gyan to him. So the whole world has divided into 2 sects. One, they worship the body, the mummies in the Egypt, and also, like Zoroaster and everything else. And the other is the Hindus, which burn the body. So there are 2 which bury the body, other is burn the body. And that's how the original thing came from Chandogya Upanishad.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Which is similar to like he's doing now.
Yeah,
he's not satisfied with that.
Right.
worldly stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they all have the same idea, but the approach is slightly different in each one, you know. पता नहीं कौन सा वाला हमको पसंद आ जाए और it will sink in more. You know? That's why we do all different ones. Yeah. Any other comment or question? No?
But even the first part he said is very similar to, like we were saying, we can see, but the eye cannot see. And what makes the eye see is Brahma.
So there is
So all of those hearing and seeing and all, they are ultimately going to Brahma.
Brahman only. And there is a whole Upanishad on that, Keno Upanishad. It's saying, by what do I see?
Yeah.
You know, what is the ear of my ear, you know? One thing is that, like our teacher used to say, these eyes are there, but if you just take this equipment and put it on the table, it cannot see. It has to have some power behind it, some connection. I say, okay, I see by my mind, but when I'm in deep sleep, mind doesn't see anything. You know, so only having a mind doesn't mean anything else. So there has to be some another power behind it, and that's how you go backwards. You know, because even in this, somebody was saying about this example. You know, some जो die hard materialist होते हैं ना, तो वो बोलेंगे, oh, I can create life in a test tube or some whatever, I don't know. You know, ये सूप मिलाया, ये किया, वो किया, chemical and life. तो सूप कहाँ से आया भाई? You know, like where did that come from? Or is it okay? This comes from the seed. Where did the seed? They won't have an answer. They will 100% hit a wall. You know, so, okay, there is a, you know, what you call gravity is there. Hey, who made that law? There got to be some lawmaker. It's not going to just happen just like that. So they always hit a wall, but Vedanta goes beyond it. That's what it is. Yeah. So everybody okay? Any other question or comment? We can close early then. Nobody has anything. Naresh ji, are you still there?
I'm here.
Yeah, is everything okay with you? What is this?
They just lifted the evacuation orders for our area.
Okay.
Only very limited area now left for.
So that's good to know. Maybe they contained it, whatever it was.
The park got contained, but there's still one area is like still.
I think, yeah, we all have to be vigilant now.
Yeah.
You know, keep your eyes and ears and keep connected with
I
everybody.
did pack a bag just in case though, because we were in the prepare zone.
Yeah, good. So you are doing whatever you need to.
Because I didn't want to lose my passport, Umaji.
Yes, that's a smart thing, you know, think ahead and all that. And look, we all are friends over here. You can come to anybody's house. You are welcome in my house too.
That's so kind. Thanks, Umaji.
Okay, I'll close it then. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Everybody stay healthy, safe, and we will see you next time.
Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om.